Good morning, everybody. We are moving on in our conversations about rhetorical situation, and we're looking at exigence for today. So there's a couple of things and a couple of spaces of notes that I want us to make sure that we look at. And then we're going to move on with our annotations and our response to exigence. So on this link, it's going to take you to a YouTube video where it's like about a 2.5-minute YouTube video where the speaker talks about exigence. I want you to take a little bit of notes on that. And then here where it says exigence notes and sample response, these are just some reminders. And if you go back to our rhetoric notes from a few weeks ago, we talk a little bit about exigence being this sense of urgency, right? Like what has prompted or sparked this person to speak or to write. And so when we think back to The Danger of a Single Story with Chimamanda Adichie, we heard her story about her houseboy and how she misunderstood kind of what being poor meant, but then also what it meant to be African, right? She never considered herself African until she went to college and her roommate kind of displayed this single story. Also, when she went to Mexico and she talked about, this idea of what immigrants, right, were, especially with Mexicans. And she talked about all these dangers of these single stories. And so for her, it was her personal experience with it on both ends of the spectrum. So if this were my response for today, I would put that Adichie's exigence is a result of her experience as both perpetrator and victim of the stereotypical misunderstandings and limited perspectives single stories can create. So essentially, her experience on both ends of this idea of a single story, right? She has not only been, I wouldn't say victimized, but been a result of a single story, on that end, but she's also perpetrated that same idea with different things that she's noticed, right? Like lack of diversity in children's stories versus the single stories that are perpetuated within the media and things of that sort. So once you go through this video, I want you to go back into your annotations that you have on Dave Barry's article, and you're going to highlight today in blue. Okay, so on this response, I went ahead and I copied the directions that are in your text. Okay, so this is directions for day 3. And you're reading the passage again, highlighting evidence that hints at Barry's exigence in blue. So when you turn this in, I should see things highlighted with comments in yellow and things highlighted with comments in blue. So then here as well, you're going to use the Create tab, and you're going to also give me your response, very much like the response I showed you for The Danger of a Single Story. So the prompt is, what is the exigence of Barry's article? In other words, what issue has prompted Barry to write and thus demands the reader's attention? Okay, so again, you're looking at what is this spark, this driving force that's carrying this argument all the way through. And he'll give you clues to that, right? So if you're looking at claims, if you're looking at specific evidence that you've already annotated, it's okay if something is going to be blue and yellow at the same time, as long as you have separating comments to discuss how it's both, right? How is this purpose, but then how is it also exigence? Okay, so just want us to dapple with this a little bit. And this is due this evening. Okay, and then if you're in 8th period, this is due tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., I believe, just to make sure that everybody has the same amount of time to devote to this response. Okay, so I'll see you in Zoom today for our continued conferences. If you've missed a conference so far at this point, it is your responsibility to reach out to me so that way we can reschedule. But we're discussing persona projects this week. And next week specifically, we will go over your scores and some comments that I have on your writing. All right, that's it for today's video. I'll see you soon.